Labour to open the migration floodgates. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article from the Sydney Morning Herald. Well, looking at how Labour is opening the migration floodgates. Labour to bring in tens of thousands more migrants as it eyes bargaining with the union movement. Now, this shouldn't surprise anyone at all. We've been talking about this for some time as well. One way to deal with the potential decline in housing value is to, attract more people to the country. And really the government doesn't need to intervene much. Australia is a very attractive country for people to move to. There's demand there for it. Now, Australia's been built on the back of people migrating here. That's why Australia is the fantastic country that it is. But we just need to make sure that we have the infrastructure to deal with that. We're not talking about the migration that happened, decades ago when Australia was, land was opening up. People could get a house dirt cheap. You could raise a family, get a house, and live a very comfortable life on one income. It's not like that anymore. Our potable water isn't keeping up with our population growth either. Our transportation infrastructure isn't keeping up. So you just need to weigh those issues out. If we want to have a big Australia, and frankly, I think we need to have a big Australia, we need to look at ensuring we can sustain a big Australia. One thing is water. It's never mentioned. We need to make sure that we build enough dams and infrastructure to allow for that. I mean, I would happily invest my superannuation in a Australian fund that focuses on massive infrastructure projects. Would you? So let's have a look here. Tens of thousands more skilled migrants will arrive in Australia from next year as the Albanese government moves to fill chronic labour shortages by recognising trades and qualifications from more countries. Now, that's probably a good thing, to be honest. That is a good thing. Here's the thing. If they're recognising it to get you a tick box to come in, okay, the professional bodies in Australia need to recognise some of those qualifications too to allow the people to work. Because you don't want people to come over here with a trade and then find out it's useless. Okay, there's one thing to have it recognised to allow you to get in the country. There's another thing to actually allow you to use that trade. We don't want skilled people having to drive Ubers because their trade isn't recognised by a professional body or an organisation. But I'm sure our government are well organised and planned enough to ensure that will never happen. The government wants to increase the migration intake between 180 and 200,000 a year, which will bring in more skilled migrants, including tradies, IT specialists and aged care workers. Skills and Training Minister Brendan O'Connor said the country also needed to better recognise existing skills and qualifications of migrants who come to Australia, which could include bridging training instead of forcing them to study again for years. The government is considering increasing the annual migration cap from its current rate of 160,000, with the issues to be heavily canvassed among unions and employer groups at the Job Skills Summit next month. Now, if we have a look here, they go up to 200,000. With our current population of 26 million people, that's about 0.77% of the population in migration on a yearly basis. That'll add up really quick, guys. Did you all know we were at 26 million people? How many of you thought we were less? Remember when Australia was at 18 million? Wasn't that long ago. And we haven't had any real new cities, have we? It's still Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, maybe in Adelaide as well. And Perth, you've got a big South African population in Perth. We need other cities. What's the newest exciting city that people are going to? We need to open up more land. So this would bring the skilled intake, usually about 70% of the total cap, to between 126 and 140,000. The government is expected to set a new migration cap in the October budget. It can also be revealed that Greens leader Adam Bandt has accepted an invitation to the Jobs Summit to be held on September 1 and 2nd, with an eye to pressuring the Albanese government to adopt big reforms in industrial relations and stopping the Stage 3 tax cuts. We need taxes in the hands of citizens, not in the hands of government. We had a previous episode we looked at. Landlord was bitching and moaning. He was bitching and moaning because Queensland has screwed around with their land tax system, and he's had to pass those costs on to his tenants. Taxes aren't a good thing, guys. How about we push for smaller government? Come on, give that a try. Let's just really give that a try. You know, some of those parties that want to decrease the government size. What do you reckon? Give them a shot. Give them 5 years, see what happens. A significant part of addressing the labour shortages will be a plan to recognise prior skills, qualifications from other countries, so the migrants aren't needlessly having to train and study for years in Australia. Yep, 100%. I would definitely agree with that. That should have happened a long time ago, because it's so much waste. I wonder if the universities and professional bodies will do that. I've met architects from other countries, you know, that had to go through all these hoops. This would build on the work done in the interim free trade deal with India, whereby architects, engineers, and accountants will be recognised in each other's countries. Fantastic. Not that I'm planning to go to India anytime soon, although I know some Indians at church where, you know, their family moved back to India and have a better quality of life than in Australia. Damn. You know, there you go. The only problem would be easy access to beef. I don't know if I could do it. Although I like, we had a feast day on Sunday, and we had the Indian families cooking, you know, all these wonderful curries. It was really good, lots of good food. And I'm going, yeah, just load up my plate, put one after the other. And they go, oh, do you want rice? And I go, what? No, rice is the scam. They just get you this filler. None of that rubbish. Just put it on there. And they were surprised that I wanted all of them. It was bloody good food. But here's an interesting thing. I'm used to a lot of Austrian food and meals. So I'm used to adding paprika and, you know, Hungarian goulash, that type of stuff, which is spicy too. A lot of people seem to forget. Anyway, I've made myself hungry. I'm going to get back to this. In an interview with the Sun Herald and the Sunday Age, O'Connor said, "We do have to be more sophisticated in measuring people's competencies from overseas." O'Connor said while it was reasonable to ensure skilled migrants had the necessary training and knowledge to undertake their jobs in Australia, I'm sure we could do better we could be better at that. He said this could include bridging training for migrants so they can more quickly work in their field of expertise. Yeah, it should be a 6-month course. If you're an accountant overseas, you should be able to do it in 6 months, or an architect, or even a little tiny grad cert or something cheap. I think maybe there's some work to be done about assessing competencies and reviewing whether the current set of assumptions are really fair to those people who are seeking application. But he insisted standards would not be dropped, highlighting aged care as an area where we need to be serious about the integrity of people's capabilities. This is not making widgets, he said. We're talking about jobs that will be looking after people in care. We have to be extra careful, frankly. O'Connor said a lot of the job shortages across the nation had been brought about by COVID-19 pandemic, but argued they were also caused by the previous government's lack of investment in skills and training and its refusal to give job seekers and job keepers temporary visa holders. Everywhere we look, there are shortages. The traditional trades, advanced manufacturing, retail, tourism, the tech industry, aged care, doctors, nurses, he said. There isn't a sector or professional trade where you could say that we've got an optimal supply. It's quite remarkable where we find ourselves. Well, if you want wage growth, this is what you need. If you want wages to go up, this is what you need. The market needs to be a bit tight, and there needs to be competition for people. I thought that's what we wanted. Wages are already pretty bloody high in Australia, but our cost of living is so high. Housing is so unaffordable. Despite the big job ahead, O'Connor said he was optimistic about getting something done because there was a resolve from unions, employer groups, and the Labor government to address the crisis. O'Connor said the solution was not a binary choice between skilled migration and training and local workforces because both were needed. He said Labor would do more to train the local workforce and crack down on the exploitation of foreign workers. So we're not going to leave people behind. But of course, we understand that skilled migration plays its part, and will always play its part. And right now there are acute shortages. O'Connor also highlighted more supply for energy and climate jobs. Getting women into male-dominated industries. What about men? Oh, wait, and vice versa. and reversing the decline in apprenticeship completion rates. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people start these apprenticeships and never complete them. I mean, you need to get men in aged care simply to manhandle some of these patients, to lift them up and move them around. You know, that's why you got to lift, boys. Not that I can talk. My only lifting is moving bags of concrete around. The ACTU president, Michelle O'Neill, did not rule out the peak union body supporting an increase in skilled migration, but said any rise should include an independent verification of the claimed shortages and evidence of qualifications to ensure Australian standards are upheld. Well, our own Australians aren't even upholding our Australian standards, so, okay. Too many employers claim skill shortages when what's really going on is a shortage of jobs with fair pay and conditions. They look first to bring in visa workers instead of providing skills and training to workers in Australia. Opposition leader Peter Dutton last week rejected the government's invitation to attend the Jobs Summit, dismissing the event as a talkfest that would give handouts to unions. He's probably right. But the leader of the Greens told this masthead, the paper, that he would attend the summit after receiving an invitation from Treasurer Jim Chalmers on Friday. Band said he would focus on more ambitious reforms to workplace law, scrapping the Stage 3 tax cuts. The tax cuts, which will start in mid-2024 and deliver major tax relief to higher income earners, are forecast to cost $37 billion annually by 2030. No, it means it's not going to cost $37 billion annually. It means $37 billion will not be stolen from the citizens of the country. And then they can spend that in the economy to create jobs. Real jobs. Hopefully private sector jobs. You know, that add value to things. With Peter Dutton's Liberals sliding into far-right irrelevance. Oh, come on. How are the Liberals far-right? If anything, they're pretty left. I don't think the Greens... I mean, the Greens are borderline Marxists with the amount of... They're advocating for state ownership of assets. Okay? Labor now a centre-right party of tax cuts for the world. Labor a centre-right. Labor a centre-right. Oh, boy. Oh, Labor a centre-right. I've heard everything. The Greens welcome the opportunity to attend this important summit and gain community support for our plans to make workers' lives better, funded by stopping Stage 3 tax cuts. That's not going to make workers' lives better at all. And a lot of these people getting the Stage 3 tax cuts are workers. Are workers. Australia is in a full-blown inequality crisis with wages and incomes low and the rising cost of living, and government must intervene to fix it. Oh, shit. See, this is the problem with the Greens. They think the government can fix the problems. They don't realise the government is the cause of these problems. So let's have a talk about this one. Well, we learned something new today. Labor are centre-right, guys. Oh, shit. Labor are centre-right. Boy. Well, I better relook at the policies because I didn't see many there when I went through their policies. I mean, this is... Fundamentally, I think this is a good idea. Recognising the qualifications of skilled migrants to come to Australia, that's what you want. Okay? You want to be able to recognise those qualifications. Maybe a bit of bridging training is necessary, but not the pain in the arse that it's been. I know people that have had to go through the process, and it's ludicrous. So that's a good thing. That is a good thing. So, you know, good effort there for Labor for putting that policy forward. That's the reform that we need. You want to attract well, we want it to be a place that brain drains the rest of the world, because remember, it's a competitive global market here. You want the smart people to come over here. You don't want the dumb people to come over here. Okay, you want the ones that have skills, trades, and a work ethic. Then maybe if you get these people coming over here, you'll have more sensible, conservative thinking people in Australia to kind of offset all these stupid bloody leftists that we're breeding here ourselves that think Labor are centre right. Shit, I've heard everything today. So We just need to ensure that infrastructure meets demand. And my concern is that the rhetoric we're hearing from the Greens and from Labor, particularly this push for variable renewable energy generation that's just not reliable, the fact that building new dams and infrastructure to ensure potable water is attacked at every stage, the fact that even pushing for urban infill development to increase housing density and reduce carbon footprint is attacked again and again and again. I can't see how our infrastructure and our housing and quality of life is going to meet this increased demand. But maybe that's what we need. We need to bring smarter people over to Australia, okay? Because we're breeding a lot of dumb. Labor centre right. I've heard everything now. And anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I want to draw your attention to 2 other YouTube channels I have. Please, I'm trying to grow them, the content there and the viewership there. I've got my BIM channel where I discuss the tools and software I use as a professional architect. And I have HeiseSays International where I discuss international news. So, a little, kind of more of the international stuff I'll be putting on that channel. Stop it. I need meant to be longer time. And if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways you can. Financially, on YouTube or Patreon, using our referral links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve or AussieBroadband, buying our pocket squares or other merch, or calling us if you need an architect. Take care, guys. And do you think Labor are a right-wing party, guys? Oh, shit. I've heard everything now. I mean, this is the thing. You've got elected officials that believe this stuff. That's complete ideological possession right there if you believe that.